Welcome to Josh's House of Nerd podcast.
Hello, Nerd Nation. I'm Josh, and I welcome you to the podcast. Grab a cold evergreen goblet of blue milk and make yourself comfortable here at my House of Nerd. Today on the podcast, we are on the topic for this month, which is martial arts movies. And today we're talking about John's pick, the 2007 movie, The Warlords. It is set during the Taiping Rebellion and based on the assassination of Ma Xinyi in 1870 in China. Starring Jet Li, Andy Lau, Takeshi Kaneshiro, and Xu Jingle. Let's talk about this movie.
You did pretty good.
I did okay.
You did pretty good.
On the
I have to preface this entire podcast with
Okay.
the year was 2008 when I saw this movie. It was the last movie I saw before I went to Chile and was not able to watch secular movies, the worldly movies for roughly 2 years. And I remembered a whole lot more martial arts in it than there actually was.
He preempts me.
Yeah, so I remembered this having a lot more martial arts. I thought it was more along the lines of Hero. Just my memory was so faulty,
This is
and
like Santa
I also
Claus
thought it
the
was.
movie all over again.
Yeah.
I also
Where
thought it was a better
funnier
movie.
than it was. Yeah.
I also thought it was a better movie than it was because it's garbage.
Well, how old
Oh my
were
goodness.
you? Yeah, well, I wouldn't go that far, but it definitely.
No.
Okay, I'll wait for my take on it. But so, why do you think it's garbage, John?
Yeah. What's
So I struggle with the story. I struggle with the pacing. The story's kind of neat, like the whole idea of the three blood brothers. The idea of the politics between them, and one of them kind of falling out, and how do they deal with it when you actually are called on to fulfill your blood oath. Sounds like a cool premise, but the execution, I think, is rough. The pacing is horrible, like especially the first little bit where he, basically has an affair with the one girl who's trying to run away, and then they go and take out the first convoy before he gets his first command. Like the pacing was all over the place for me, and I hate the ending. I hate the ending. And they couldn't. It's almost like they couldn't necessarily decide if Jet Li's character is a bad guy or a good guy, or just this middle of the ground guy. Like it was this weird combination of like, okay, we kind of want you to feel sorry for him in the scene and empathize with him. Oh, but he's actually a really bad person. But we want you to empathize with him and really understand him. But he's a bad person. Yeah. So it was all over the place for me. And the shots, there's so much shaky cam.
Yeah.
Like just so much shaky cam. And not enough martial arts. Like there was some cool beginnings of fights when he first runs into. I want to say it's Andy Lau's character. When he first runs into Andy Lau's character, they have that first little tiny fight where he's about to kill him, and that's kind of it. So, and they had like a few little false starts like there. We had maybe a start of a cool fight, but not really.
Yeah.
All that kind of.
And the assassination at the end was a kind of one-on-one martial artist like fight.
Yeah.
But
I think all of that conspired against this movie for me, and then it was just like, what was I smoking back in 2008?
Well, probably everything before you left.
Yeah, probably. It's like I gotta try everything before I leave. But I was just like, man, I was thinking this was like Hero. What is going on that this has such a different warped effect in my head? And the only thing I can imagine is that I was actually not really watching or paying attention to the film, and I was just filling in the gaps in my memory with Hero.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
That's my assumption of what really happened.
All right, Josh, how'd you feel about it?
I didn't mind it. I felt like the story. I would agree with the pacing part, but I also, the way that they told the story, like the subtitles didn't bother me at all. The version I saw was yours guys totally subtitled?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, you saw that version. Okay. I didn't mind the subtitling. I can keep up with subtitling. That doesn't bother me at all. But yet I felt like at parts there was like almost like assumptions made in the way that you're supposed to follow the story. Like there was a lot of like I would say this more of like towards the end of the second act, beginning of the third act of sometimes I didn't understand what was necessarily going on 100% of the time in some of the little kind of infights and some of the back and forth. Um, so I didn't get it. Sometimes I just didn't understand like what the big deal was. Sometimes in it with some of the interchanges at the end, but other than that, I'm not going to say like it's like my most favorite movie in the world, but I mean it was enough to keep my interest. um I liked it enough. I thought the overall story of it all, like you're saying, was intriguing in a little, in a small way, which it was enough to keep me. The thing that kind of bugged me the most, I think, about this movie, of the story part of it anyway, was the whole kind of love interest thing. It was kind of like they almost made it feel like it was a big deal, but they didn't spend a lot of time on it really.
Right?
Like, yeah, that was the part I was just like, okay, if this is such a thing between these guys, then
Well, and
why
she
aren't they
like brings him
focusing
back
more
from the
on it?
brink of death, and supposedly does all this stuff. And then again, this is where it gets to the humanizing of him, and it's like they want you to feel bad, they want you to understand this, but I'm like, wait,
Yeah,
he's encouraging her, like he's encouraging this affair, and then he's not a great person, and it's just like, okay, I have no vested interest in this love affair. Like
exactly.
I really don't want it to happen. Like I don't really, yeah.
And I couldn't even hardly tell, like, half the time she was with that other guy, the one of the other brothers, uh, and then it was like this, like, okay, and then every once in a while you'd see like that long shot of them just staring at each other. I'm like, oh my goodness, just get on with it. If you're gonna go be with him, then go with Jet Li's character. If you're not, stay with the guy that you're already with. Anyways, yeah, I think that was probably the biggest story part. I thought actually some of the battles were pretty cool. In all honesty, it was,
They weren't too bad.
yeah.
But the shaky cam in the battles was the hard part. Like that
I
was,
agree.
they didn't have a lot of the stable shots to show off the fighting that was going on, or to show off like the death.
Hmm.
Like it was shaky cam all over the place, and then quick shots and shaky cam and quick shot and shaky cam. And then what is with the film palette in those battles too? Like it's just
Very washed
so,
out.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was. It was washed
I
out.
have an
It
idea
felt like I
about
was
that.
watching. Okay,
Yeah.
well, go ahead. We might as well talk about your idea.
All right.
'Cause-
Well, it kind of ties into my whole like I've got 3 notes on the show, and it's like the one is the opening had the aesthetic of Saving Private Ryan, right? They had it was
Mhm.
very choppy, it was grainy, the camera moved a lot of shakiness, but didn't have the expertise, it seemed like, from
Mhm.
that. And then the rest of the movie was like, or at least the middle portion of the movie is like Braveheart. And
That is so
yeah,
funny you say that, because I felt that exact same way, that some
yeah.
of the shots, and I was even going to comment that some of those shots felt like Braveheart.
Yeah, it's like look at Braveheart as a template and then map the battles and intrigue and stuff onto that.
I feel the same
And
way.
yeah, and I think like the washed out palette and everything. I think that's really Saving Private Ryan. I think
Yeah.
that palette, they took that one like, oh, that's gritty, that feels real, so we're going to use that over here in our historical set piece, but only sometimes. And yeah, it was a little weird.
Occasionally when we feel, yeah, like
Yeah.
it.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's a good way of putting it. The other note I have on here is I think they were trying to be like some of the older films in this. I think they were trying to be like a Seven Samurai type deal,
Maybe. I
at
don't
least
know
in
if they had.
some aspects. Like they
Yeah,
didn't get anywhere close to it,
right.
but it felt like they were trying to.
Which would
Go ahead.
which would probably piss a lot of people off because they don't necessarily like being compared to Japanese cinema. But yeah,
It's very true. That would
I
it would probably tick a lot of people off.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a big historic epic, and so maybe without the cultural, like, I don't know if the actual historical events are, similar to Brave. That's what kind of felt like Braveheart, because like it's about a historical person or a set of events
Mhm.
around a person, and then
And we just don't have that background in
yeah, we
Chinese
just don't have
history.
any connection to it. So it's like a lot of the things that we're like, this is weird, and why aren't they showing this? And there's also cultural stuff too. Like, I don't think they're going to go
So
into heavy romance in a Chinese epic.
so I looked a little bit into it because I was trying to
Okay,
find
good.
I was trying to find the kind of the background of it, the whole Taiping Rebellion and Civil War, and what I found is actually interesting because the film didn't focus on it at all. They didn't focus on, like, if they're trying to be this historical epic and they're trying to capture the battle, like they're making it seem like these ruling empires, and maybe this is just not a fault, but maybe this is just how Chinese filmmaking happens now, because the one of the big driving factors of this whole uprising was Christianity.
Well,
And
that explains the cross that she was wearing and stuff like that.
it,
Kind of.
exactly, where they killed him and got the cross off.
Right. And it's like, okay.
But that's like the only real talk about it. And so like they talk a little bit about it, but it almost feels like, okay, we're setting it in this area, but we're actually not paying any real homage or talking about the rebellion. So like they wanted to be a historical movie like that, like you're talking about, but even then I don't know that they spent a lot of time on it, and we're missing big aspects of it.
Do you think that was political, that they might have left that out? That
Absolutely. I mean, the Christianity thing for sure. I think that's a political choice in Chinese filmmaking currently, and we could go into a whole realm under that. And you know, and it's the same thing we do in American filmmaking. We gloss over certain things when we deal with historical events. So it's not like it's solely the realm of Chinese filmmaking to do that, because we do that in American television all the time.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it was something that was really glossed over and not really talked about. And so and since we didn't live through it, since we don't live in that area, I think it lost a lot of the power of the historical aspect. Like we don't get that same emphasis or oomph, or like, okay, yeah, this is kind of neat. I don't think I even learned about the Taiping Rebellion in school, to be honest.
Yeah, I think movie is made for China. That it happens to be released over here is just, them reaching out and, getting a little extra from the box office. But I think this is a Chinese movie for Chinese people.
And I heard a thing about that too. I read a little article about that when I was kind of doing, kind of looking up the description of it and stuff, that they did that on purpose, actually. Matter of fact, a lot of people were a little peeved that it was a $40 million movie, but of that $40 million, Jet Li got like $15 million for it.
Oh, nice, Jet.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And everybody else, the second brother got like $2 million, and the other guy got the lesser guy at the very end.
It's like that meme.
He got like $1 million or something like that. And the reason they said that,
you guys got paid,
yeah. The reason they said that they did that was it was because of Jet Li's name, that they were able he was such a big name that they were able to take it international, which is why he got paid more.
He still is.
You put some respect on his name, sir.
No, well, excuse me. Sheesh.
Was such a big name. Come on now.
I mean, I know he's older and he hasn't. He's not putting out movies like he was, but still, I know.
Donnie Yen is gunning for him.
What's that? I know.
Donnie Yen is gunning for him too.
Well, who do you like better, Donnie Yen or Jet Li?
I think that comes down. I don't know. Like, I can't say as an individual. I think I like more of Donnie Yen's movies.
Oh yeah, Donnie Yen's movies are way better.
Yeah, I would say.
Cool.
I mean, you can't stand up to Ip Man.
Well, not just Ip Man. There's a whole bunch of Flashpoint. There's a whole bunch of movies that
Flashpoint.
Donnie Yen did. that are just amazing martial arts movies.
And then he did Triple X, The Return of Xander Cage too.
Yeah, okay.
And he did Rogue
Thanks, Tom. Yeah.
Rogue One too. I mean,
Yeah. Oh,
he was-
yeah.
and Jet Li did, Lethal Weapon, so
Oh, that's true.
he did.
yeah, he was in one of the last Lethal Weapons.
Man, I did not
Yeah.
remember that. That's interesting.
I think
And
it's
stuff. I've only
selective amnesia.
He's only Jet Li's only come into my kind of circle a little bit more since I've known you guys. Like I knew of him, but like he was never a draw for me.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Not
So
a Jackie Chan.
no, I've learned more about Jet Li hanging out with you guys than I've known or watched in my entire rest of my life. So.
Oh well, then you're gonna love my picks tonight.
Oh. Okay.
So here's the
Awesome.
question: if we're what out of Jet Li's films, since we're kind of bowing down on Warlords, which of Jet Li films is better or not better than Warlords, but that you enjoy more than the Warlords?
Once Upon a Time in China.
Okay,
I think that's his best film.
I think you're right, and that's one of his earliest films too.
It's one of his earlier films, yeah.
Yeah. I think I would go with that. Fearless isn't too bad.
That's okay. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I think it was trying to be an Ip Man and didn't quite make it, but I think
Yeah.
it's better than a lot of his other ones. And then Hero's not too bad either. Hero is kind of like, I think America's, that and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon were kind of their big, Chinese, theater or Chinese movies are a thing type deal.
Well, Hero definitely felt like a response to Crouching Tiger.
Absolutely, I agree.
And it's like, we can do really artsy, really push budget into set pieces and stuff like that. But I don't think Hero was as cohesive as
No.
Crouching Tiger. So that's
No.
part of the thing that kind of held it back for me as far as like being.
They had
movie.
they had the one cool set piece they had this one cool idea and they built the entire movie around that.
Yeah, and that's nice. I mean, that's a really, like I said, I think from a conceptual level and from a visual level, it's really cool. But yeah, I don't think Warlords lives up to that at all. I mean, honestly, like thinking about it on it now, this feels like a pay movie. Like Jet Li did it not because he resonated with, and I mean maybe
Because he
did.
needed the money, or not needed the money, but he wanted the money.
But they were willing to pay him, and he was willing to be in the movie. I didn't get anything out of that of him like really projecting it, but maybe he was. That's the other thing too. Is like culturally, I don't know if I can.
Mm-hmm.
None of the characters resonated with me, and I wasn't like. That's kind of
because it's a Chinese film for Chinese audiences, and so body language is different. What we see and what's like normal to us is different. So I mean, it's it might be hard to tell. He might be throwing his whole heart and soul into this.
Yeah, maybe.
Acting, and we wouldn't know it because we don't have that same cultural background. I don't know.
Certainly possible, but like at least personally, I didn't connect with any of the characters at all.
No,
so it's like,
no, neither did I.
Hey guys, you're forgetting his best movie ever, The Mummy 3, dude. Tugin the Dragon Emperor. I mean, come on, you didn't even put that into the mix.
Yeah,
or any of the Expendables that he's in. Come on.
I think I
ensemble movies.
Yeah, the Expendables is something you
don't play a character. You're just your actor yourself in a set movie or something like that. It's not.
Pretty much.
Really exactly. Or you're just a walking stereotype in the movie. Like that's
or that too. Yeah.
No, I just look and I'd forgotten that he was in the Expendables, but I remember his character now in those, and then I forgot that he was in the Tomb of the Dragon Emperor too, the last Mummy movie.
Yeah.
With Brendan Fraser.
Well, and he's in the new Mulan as well.
Haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I haven't been.
Pass. I saw it and I was not impressed at all.
Well, now I have to see it.
Josh
likes most films, so like this is I got to figure out why he didn't like this one.
It was boring, dude.
Did they have music? Did they have songs in them?
No.
Then I can't watch it.
They took away everything from the Well, they took away everything from the cartoon that made Mulan. and then they gave her superpowers and stuff. I'm not kidding. I mean, you should, if you haven't seen it, go and see it. They give her some kind of like supernatural powers at the end.
All right.
And stuff. It's
a little whooshy.
like I didn't hate it, but I don't ever want to watch it again.
Fair enough.
I haven't really I haven't wanted to watch it at all.
I watched it with my kids and just across the board, I didn't even say anything to my kids. They're like, "That's okay." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'm not the only one not, feeling the same way." It just didn't have the appeal of the cartoon, which is funny. Because I did like some of the other remakes that Disney did on some level.
And George Takei, which is interesting, acting in a Chinese film. But yeah, I don't think you can redo the animated one and come off better.
They didn't even have Mushu.
Sad.
There was.
They should have just had Eddie Murphy in a dragon.
That's Eddie Murphy's character, yeah.
Okay.
And he was hilarious in that one, and yet they kind of made references here and there of things like that, but it just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. Yeah. In all honesty, in my opinion, with the Mulan remake, it was made for China.
Yeah.
It wasn't made necessarily for the United States.
I think that's the same thing with the Warlords. I think it was made for China, and it's just
right. And right now, I put the Warlords in the same realm in podcast movies as the Santa Claus. It's like, for me, it's like out of all the podcast movies, the ones I wish I could skip and never watch again, and would be the Warlords and the Santa Claus. Well, I'd even take Nicolas Cage and helicopters over that because that was just funny to watch.
It was great to watch. Come on,
but the Warlords was just like, okay, all right.
Firebird.
I've got another pick tonight that's a lot like Nicolas Cage and yeah, I like Firebirds.
I think I find that funny because I remember when I picked the Santa Claus the movie, I was just like, I remembered it being way funnier and way better than it was.
Yeah,
and I hadn't seen it since I was probably 12, and then I watched it. And
maybe we need a rule like, okay, must have watched in the last 5 years.
No, because this is entertaining. And also,
yeah, it's entertaining.
And also, who's like, which one of my picks so far, or will I get a pick that's going to be my Santa Claus? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm interested to see what that would be like. Yeah, the one that you're like, I remember this being awesome, and you're like,
yeah,
oh,
and then come back around and like, I'm sorry, guys. That's okay.
I've really watched myself ever since then that it's like, even if it's a movie that I don't know, I know enough about it to put it on the list.
About halfway through. About halfway through, I literally had this thought. I was like, I really hope Jet Li's character from the one comes in and just kills himself in this one.
Oh no!
and goes to the next movie, and we just have the 1-2, because I would much rather watch that than the rest of the
cinematic universe.
Yeah, basically, all Jet Li films take place in the one cinematic universe.
That's nice. It could work. You could do it.
Yeah, it's true. Everything works.
All right.
But, that's kind of all I have on this one. It was a miss.
It looks like Jet Li's done a movie for a while. It looks like the last one he did was 2014, at least in this list.
No, well, on Mulan 2020.
2020, yeah, but before Mulan. That wasn't a huge part in Mulan.
So.
But
okay.
Anyway. So yeah, overall
ratings.
Good try, John, but it's
no, it was a crappy try. Like, it was.
I didn't hate it, but it's definitely not it was enough to watch one time. How about that?
I didn't turn it off in disgust halfway through.
Yeah,
I did check the time a couple of times to see like how long is this movie, and it wasn't that long. Like it's a long movie, but it's not like 2-hour movie.
Yeah, it just feels long because the pacing was a huge issue.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that felt that way because I kept checking the time. Like, is it over? I literally looked at it a couple of times.
I wasn't saying if it's over yet because they hadn't resolved anything when I checked a couple of times. I was just trying to see how much more time they had to resolve stuff.
Agreed. I'll go first with the ratings.
Okay.
If we want to do ratings, I'm gonna give this a 6 out of 10. Cannonballs directly to the chest, and I would not own this movie. I thought that was a great scene in that part.
I would not watch this film with my mother because I'll never watch this film again, probably.
Fair enough, dude.
No offense, Jet Li. I love your films. I love you, but I can't sit through Warlords again.
Amen to that.
And I'll give this a 4 out of 10 blocked spearmen that hold still for the camera.
That's awesome. I forgot about that.
Just like, all right, everybody attack him at once. This should work. Okay, we're just standing here holding the spears. All right, cool. Okay, now next move. Let's go.
Shot.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that was kind of crazy. You know, I know we've talked about this a little bit in the past, like with Jackie Chan movies or something like that. I was shocked to see a Jet Li movie that had so many shortcuts in it. You know, I mean, I'm used to like martial arts movies where they're doing like the full shot, and you're seeing everything, like with a Jackie Chan movie. You know.
Well, it also was this 2007.
Yeah,
and I'm sure there's some translation between early 2000s, like Hollywood filmmaking, where shaky cam was a real huge thing, drifting into, you know, Chinese filmmakers' styles and stuff like that. Because there's a little bit of feedback back and forth, but Hollywood still is kind of oversized in its influence on other cultures' cinema, it seems like.
No, I agree. All right, Crit.
All right.
It's your turn, dude. Lay it on us what you got.
My martial arts films, which will be a lot of martial arts, is going to be, number one is A Wonderful Movie Set in Hong Kong. Number two is An Amazing Movie Set in Thailand.
Okay.
And number three is A Bad Movie Set in Florida.
I'm going to go with Bad Movie Set in Florida because that sounds interesting. And I think it's going to be fun.
Okay, John.
And I think I know I may know the Thailand one.
All right. You probably do. All right. Is that what we're going with number three then?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. All right. So the first movie, A Wonderful Movie Set in Hong Kong, is Meals on Wheels. One of the best Jackie Chan movies that he made. A little earlier in his career, has some really amazing fights in it.
Okay.
So I'll have to come
sounds
back
like we need to watch this another time anyway then.
Oh, for sure. All right. So the second one, An Amazing Movie Set in Thailand, is Ong Bak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking that.
Just an amazing kickboxing, you know, Tony Jaa has made him an international superstar. Really fun movie. And the one you picked, A Bad Movie Set in Florida, is Only the Strong. This is the Capoeira movie.
Oh, no way. We picked that one?
Yeah, of course you did.
It's all on YouTube, by the way.
Yeah, you'll have to watch it on YouTube. You can't watch it anywhere else.
Really?
It's on Amazon. You can buy it on DVD.
Well, no, you'd have to buy it on DVD, which, I mean, if you want to commit, go for it. But, you know.
Only the strong.
Yes. It's so 90s that even the 90s is cringing to it. So it's wonderful. This is going to be so much fun. Yeah.
You know, you've talked enough about this movie that I am actually really excited we picked it.
Yeah.
I mean, I may not be really excited once I watch it, but now that we picked it, I'm really excited to watch it. Oh, that's awesome.
All right.
And stuff. All right. Is that everything?
Yep.
That's everything. Oh wait, we're picking.
That's why I was asking.
Next, right. Well, I don't know. This is your podcast. I thought you were.
Yeah. It's usually the last. It's usually this one we usually announce the next month.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
So, yes, I do.
Okay.
I'm on the ball, man. Come on.
Well, I was expecting you. So I was like, okay, because you usually are on the ball. So I was like, okay.
But you usually introduce the genre that we're going to do a new genre. So But all right.
Oh,
So-
hey, and next month we're doing a new genre, and Crit's picking it. Crit,
All
go
right.
for it. See, then
Thanks,
I can cut that in.
Finally. Get the respect I deserve on this podcast. All right.
Good job, Crit.
So the genre for next month is movies that come from plays.
Oh, that sounds actually really cool.
I hope that I think there's gonna be some good picks in there.
I'm actually movies that come from plays. There's a lot of selections in that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of old movies to do too.
Oh, a lot of
We can
old
throw
movies.
Amadeus in there.
You could throw all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
That's actually a very, very cool, exciting topic.
Thank you.
That means I get to pick for it next week.
Yes, you do.
I'm excited for it and to talk about this capoeira movie. I mean, I lived in Brazil for 2 years and I saw it all the time. And let's see how it compares to what the real thing.
I think you're gonna have stories. It's gonna be great.
Oh my goodness. Well, guys, this was a fun podcast, and I can't wait for what we have here in the next little while. This is going to be fun, and thanks for being on here with us. It's always a good time. And everybody out there listening, thank you for supporting our channel. We really enjoy doing this podcast for you, and if you liked it, click the like button. It really does help us. And as always, may you be excellent to each other and live long and prosper. From all of us here at Josh's House of Nerd. Have a good night.
Thanks for watching. For more nerdy awesomeness, please like and subscribe and check out our other nerdy videos.